welcome to Race for the White House, a show where we get you the latest from 2024 US presidential election. On today's show, we'll tell you how ballot boxes are being set on fire with explosive devices in the states of Oregon and Washington by suspected arsonists. Also, on the other side of the show, we'll tell you about the shocking accusations leveled against Tim Walz for having an affair with the daughter of a top Chinese Communist Party leader in 1980s. All of this and much more, so let's get started. With only a week left until the US presidential election, a shocking act of vandalism has sparked outrage and fear. In a major attack, ballot drop boxes in the states of Washington and Oregon were set ablaze, and the series of attacks on ballot boxes across the United States is increasing the pressure on state and local officials. Now, this comes as the race tightens and every ballot counts in what could be one of the closest elections in the US history. Authorities say an explosive device was placed inside ballot boxes before the fire ignited. The police's explosive disposal unit came onto the scene and cleared the device. Now, officials say that no one was injured, but some of the ballots were damaged in the incident. And the video obtained by local media shows firefighters responding to the scene with some of the ballots burning on the ground. Now, the local police and the FBI have launched a joint investigation and have confirmed that both the incidents are connected. The investigating authorities have also identified a vehicle that is involved in these explosions. Now, the ballot drop boxes in Washington and Oregon both have fire suppressive systems. They are designed to activate when the temperature inside reaches a certain point, coating ballots inside with a fire suppressing powder. However, the system appeared to have worked in the Portland drop box, and security staffers were nearby to help put out the fire. But the system failed to prevent the destruction of hundreds of ballots in Vancouver. You should know that this is not a lone incident. A similar incident was also reported in Arizona last week. In fact, election officials are now working to identify all the impacted voters, reaching out to them directly with the aim of reissuing ballots as quickly as possible. Yet, with less than 7 days remaining, time is critically short. Voter protection groups are now raising concerns that this incident could sway voter turnout. Many also believe that this will impact the final vote count, especially in closely contested areas. Now, the two incidents come amid heightened concern nationwide about attempts to disrupt the conduct of the presidential election. Netizens soon gave a spin to this story. Many claim that the Republicans and Donald Trump were trying to sabotage the elections by going to desperate lengths, while others say that this was an attempt by liberals to interfere in the election. So, as the nation approaches one of its most crucial elections, this incident serves as a stark reminder of the challenges facing voters and election officials alike. With hundreds of ballots damaged in Washington and Oregon, officials are moving swiftly to secure drop boxes, reissue ballots, and reassure voters at large. Moving on, the approval ratings and national polls may show Kamala Harris maintaining a marginal lead over Donald Trump, but the online political gambling markets have been betting big on the former president. Online betting sites are showing a noticeable surge of bets backing Trump to win, with many users convinced that he has a strong shot despite the polls. Now, these aren't your usual political pundits, they are bettors. Sites like Odds Checker, Kalshi, and 345 are reporting that wagers on Trump have spiked, and he's currently edging out his competition in the betting world, even if the pollsters are saying otherwise. Now, what's interesting to note that is, betting odds can be more than just numbers. They're often seen as a reflection of public sentiment and confidence. Bettors across the globe seem to think Trump's got a shot in this election. The odds for Trump have tightened in the last week, and his betting market support could be a mix of faith, hope, and maybe a little gamble on the unexpected side. Currently, Trump holds a 51.1% chance of winning this election compared to Harris's 47.6%. Now, this is according to the Real Clear Politics average of betting markets. In the betting world, this isn't just a reflection of voter support, but also a financial opportunity. As more gamblers put money on him, the odds shorten, making him an attractive, potentially high-yielding risk in the eyes of these betting enthusiasts. But now the question is, why are people betting on Trump when polling data shows the race could go either way? Analysts suggest several reasons for this. One factor might be the unpredictability of polling itself. Many believe the polls aren't capturing the silent Trump voters. Another reason is that betting isn't always logical. Sometimes people bet on what they hope will happen, not necessarily what's likely to happen. And there's certainly a segment of the population rooting for a Trump victory. Also, election betting does give us an alternative perspective. But let's be clear, it's not a predictor of the actual outcome. Betting odds and polls work differently. Polls gather data from voters, while betting markets reflect who gamblers think will win the election. However, it's an interesting look at where global confidence is leading, even if sometimes goes against poll numbers. So with betting markets putting their chips on Trump, there's no doubt that people around the world are watching with interest and maybe even with a little cash riding on the result. And now for more on this, our principal diplomatic correspondent Shang Matu has sent us this report. Listen in.
When we talk about predicting election results, we're usually talking about two main tools: polls and prediction markets. Both try to get at who's likely to win in the presidential election, but they do it in very different ways. Right now, most polling and data-driven forecasts see a close race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. The New York Times, 538, and other forecasters who use a mix of polls and data show the two candidates in a tight competition. Prediction markets, though, are a whole different game. They don't use surveys or data models. Instead, they let people place real money bets on who they think will win the election. And this creates what can seem like a collective gut feeling on who is going to win the race, as share prices go up or down based on what bettors think is most likely to happen. Right now, for example, Trump's shares on some of these betting markets are higher than Harris's, which suggests that investors might feel that Trump has a stronger shot of winning the presidency. One of the reasons for this is that people put their own money on the line, which some believe gives these markets an edge because bettors consider every bit of news, polling data, and even gut instinct in their bets. But are these prediction markets more likely to get things right than polls? Well, that is really up for debate. Polls give us a direct look at what a sample of voters think and are often accurate when taken in large aggregates. They reflect real voter intentions, although they are snapshots of a moment in time. Betting markets, however, can be extremely reactive to events. For instance, if Trump or Harris has a strong debate or enjoys a viral moment, prediction markets can respond immediately with a price jump for that candidate's shares. This quick response can be a plus for markets, but also opens them up to rapid swings and sometimes big inaccuracies. So back in 2016, prediction markets were overwhelmingly convinced that Hillary Clinton would beat Trump in the presidential election, which turned out to be wrong. But so were the polls. Similarly, in 2022, these betting markets predicted a red wave for Republicans in that year's congressional elections, which simply did not materialize. So, which is better? Polls are generally great at telling us what voters are saying, but prediction markets are a unique way to gauge what the people are willing to put their money behind. Both have strengths, but neither is crystal ball. Right now, the race is close, and whether the polls or the markets get it right in 2024 will be interesting to watch.
A lot has been made in the selection trail out of Tim Walz's stint as a teacher in China. But now it seems a lot is still left to be unpacked. An exclusive report by the Daily Mail says that a Democratic vice presidential candidate had an affair with the daughter of a top Chinese Communist Party member in the 1980s. To give you a background, Walz taught English at a high school in China's Guangdong province in 1980s. Now during this stint, Walz reportedly had an affair with Jenna Wang, the daughter of Chinese Communist Party leader. Now Wang has come out recalling the intensity of their relationship, explaining the cultural barriers between the two. For Wang, who had envisioned a new life with Walz in the United States, his apparent hesitancy led to disappointment and anger. The couple shared private moments but carefully avoided public affection, fearing retaliation from Wang's family or authorities. Walz even questioned her intentions at one point, suggesting that Wang was more interested in a US visa than in their relationship. And Wang is now reflecting on this remark that left her feeling cheap and common. In an interview with the Daily Mail, the CCP leader's daughter says that she confronted Walz about their future, which led to a painful realization. Wang even says that she even considered ending her life rather than returning to her old life in disgrace with Tim Walz. However, she ultimately chose to part ways with Walz, and after their separation, Walz returned to the United States and began leading educational trips to China for students in Nebraska and Minnesota. He later married Gwen Walz, a fellow teacher, in the year 1994, leaving Wang behind as he pursued his career in education and eventually politics. Meanwhile, Wang moved to Europe, where she built a life as a teacher, translator, and cultural mediator. The pair last exchanged messages on Facebook in the year 2009, discussing their lives and how they had changed over the years. Now, Wang's decision to share her story today stems from a sense of betrayal and lingering resentment. Wang says that she was disappointed with Walz's selfish behavior, particularly his lack of commitment after raising her hopes of marriage and a shared future. Her experience reflects a belief that Walz's actions compromised her reputation and risked her career. Wang is emphasizing her belief that Walz lacks the character and integrity required for the role he now seeks in the Harris-Walz campaign. In fact, many believe that this is yet another example of the October surprise, the unexpected, often scandalous revelations that seems to emerge in the final days of the campaign season. This one, however, has a uniquely international twist to it, involving not just an American candidate, but also a foreign government with which relations are strained. For now, the facts remain murky. What we do know is that this report has added yet another layer to an already complex and dramatic election unfolding in the US. And now it's time to talk in numbers. With just a week remaining for the US election, the race for the White House remains intense. Vice President Kamala Harris is still maintaining a narrow lead nationally and a neck-to-neck battle in the swing states. So let's take a look at how presidential contenders are faring in polls today. According to a New York Times poll, Harris is leading in the national polls with an approval rating of about 49%, while Trump is trailing at 48%. In the swing states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, Harris is maintaining a lead at about 49%, while Trump is at 48%. In the state of Nevada, both Harris and Trump are logged in with an approval rating of about 48%. In the state of Arizona, Trump has taken a lead this time with an approval rating of about 49%, while Harris is at 47%. And in the states of Georgia and North Carolina, Trump is leading this time with an approval rating of about 49%, while Harris is at 48%. So with the polls swinging left to right every day, the election is getting highly intense as both Trump and Harris are logged in a nail-biting race. And now it's time to get you some quick updates from the political landscape in the US that you might have missed. US President Joe Biden hosted a Diwali celebration at the White House that was attended by over 600 Indian Americans. This included congressmen, officials, and corporate executives from across the country. However, Kamala Harris could not attend the event as she is on the campaign trail. And Biden, who led the formal diya in the Blue Room of the White House, said that South Asian American community has enriched every part of the American life. Next up, the Washington Post is grappling with a wave of cancellations from subscribers after the news outlet refused to endorse Trump or Harris in the presidential race. Now, according to reports, over 200,000 people have cancelled their digital subscription this week, and this decision follows a similar decision taken by the LA Times blocking support for Harris or Trump. This also led to subscription cancellations and sparked major controversy among the staff, leading to several resignations. And at last, Vice President Kamala Harris got caught on a hot mic moment, admitting that her campaign needs to work on appealing to male voters during a campaign stop over the weekend. Now, Harris was sitting at a bar with Michigan governor where she seemed to have forgotten that they were surrounded by microphones and cameras. Many on the social media theorized that the hot mic moment was staged as a joke, given that governor and VP were both wearing mics clipped onto their clothing, surrounded by boom mics, cameras, and reporters for a photo op. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Race for the White House. Stay tuned to India Today Global for more updates on US elections.